Welcome to our yin yoga practice tonight. So today we're going to be working on the wall. So what you're going to need is a wall that's clear and doesn't have, picture frames and anything that's going to get kicked off by having your legs there. You're going to want to gather a yoga block, perhaps a foam yoga block, or books just to support your head or to support the pelvis. And if you have a bolster, it's a really amazing thing to have for this practice. If you don't have a bolster, you can substitute for a couple pillows, maybe 2 or 3. Or for our first pose, we're going to be elevating the height of the pelvis. So pause this video, gather those things, gather a blanket. I'm in the yurt, it's kind of cold, so I'm wearing socks and I'm just gonna make myself super cozy to teach this class. So this practice of putting our legs up the wall is called, in Sanskrit, it's known as Viparita Karani Asana, which means that we are reversing the natural actions to achieve calmness and wellness on the physical and the mental level. So there's many amazing benefits to practicing with our legs up the wall. Some of them might include relieving any physical pain that you have in your hips, in your low back, in the pelvis, the back of the legs. It's also great if you have poor digestion. It can reduce stress and anxiety by calming the nervous system. There's just so many great benefits, and it also has an impact on our cardiac load, so it can help to reduce our blood pressure and just relieve the work that the heart has to do, because we're allowing the body to relax into a state of stillness, and we're bringing all of that pooled blood from the legs and allowing it to come and circulate into the torso. So let's begin. Hopefully you have all your props nice and close. We're going to place first our bolster right up against the wall. If you don't have a bolster, then you're going to use your pillows. And if you don't have pillows, then you can stack 2 of these foam blocks, or just a regular yoga block will work as well. So beginning, just bringing either the left or the right hip up towards the wall, bringing your back to the cushion, to the side of the cushion, bringing your legs up the wall, making yourself comfortable with the flat back first, and then just pressing into the feet, lifting the pelvis and bringing your cushion under the pelvis, just setting yourself here so that your bum is close to the wall and the entire pelvis is relaxed. And from here, let's just begin by centering, connecting to the body. You can bring your hands one hand onto your belly, one hand closer to the chest, if that feels good for you. And just begin by tuning into the breath, just observing the natural flow of the breath. Sending that breath into the belly as you relax the diaphragm, the abdominal muscles. Just allow yourself to have a full, complete breath experience without forcing the breath too much. Begin to scan the body, noticing where you're clenching, where you're holding tension. Just allowing yourself to soften a bit deeper. Connecting to this first foundation of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, the sensations that you're experiencing, the tension that you're holding, and mindfulness of the breath. Allowing yourself to be fully present here in this moment. Just observing your thoughts. Just allowing them to enter and not attaching. Just allowing them to pass through. Feel your back body rooting into the earth, stabilizing you, connecting you, holding you, supporting you. And from here, bringing your hands flat onto the floor, bringing your feet flat onto the wall, and just pressing into the feet so that you can remove the bolster or the block or the books, whatever you have underneath the pelvis, and just bring the back flat to the earth, the pelvis flat to the earth. Now from here, we're going to move into butterfly pose, keeping our legs up the wall. So just bringing the soles of the feet together. Pressing the feet into the floor, pressing the feet into the wall, I'm sorry. And you can just gently open the hips, pressing the knees towards the wall, finding that gentle edge, and then just relaxing the hands down alongside the body. Generally, if you would like things to be less intense, you can move your pelvis a little bit further away from the wall. And if you find you don't have enough intensity, then you move your pelvis as close to the wall as possible. And then resting here like we do any other yin pose. Our eyes are closed, and we're just present with the sensations that arise as we hold in stillness. These poses are all great poses for working with the root and the sacral chakra. These are great poses if you are menstruating, if you've been on your feet, if you've been walking lots or standing lots in your day, or even if you're sitting lots because your blood will tend to pool in the feet and the ankles. It can help to relieve headaches. And as I said, it helps to lower the blood pressure. Deep diaphragmatic breaths through the nose. Softening a little bit more on each exhale. If you would like to change the intensity of this pose, you can do so by adjusting the body now. As I mentioned, either moving the pelvis a bit closer to the wall, or you can bring your heels a bit closer to the pelvis. And coming to our last deep breath here, in through the nose And out through the mouth. To come out of the pose, bring your hands on either side of the knees and just bring the knees together using the hands to guide and begin to just walk the legs back up the wall. Just letting them come straight for a few moments. Now from here, we're going to move into a squat on the wall. So let's start with our legs quite wide, so a bit more than hip distance apart. You might find you need to move your pelvis a bit further away from the wall as you bring your legs down here. So we're just going to bend into the knees and press the feet flat onto the wall. Yeah. And then just begin that process of softening once you find a position that works well for you. This is one of the ways that I started training my body to come into a deep squat. Squatting I've been doing for, I think, every day for 3 years now. And when I first began practicing, I could not squat at all. I was so tight in my hips and my low back. And this was one of the poses that I began with just to start opening, because it was something that was attainable to my body, and it could help me to facilitate that opening in the low back, and I could tolerate the tensity in the hip flexors. That, I don't know if you experience that pinching feeling in the hip flexors, but over time, as you lengthen, stretch and relax and release these muscles, you'll find a standing squat to be much more attainable. Bringing yourself back to the breath. Inhaling, sending that breath to wherever you're feeling those sensations. And releasing that tension on the exhale. Just keep guiding yourself back to the breath, back to the sensations in the body. you'll find that you will constantly be redirecting yourself as the mind kind of slips in and starts taking you on this train of thought. And you don't even know that you're doing it, but as soon as you do recognize that you're thinking, just be gentle with yourself and come back. And now, finishing this pose, we're going to alter this position just a little bit by bringing the feet closer together, bringing the knees closer together, and pressing the feet into the wall. From here, if you like, you can have more of an active pose by squeezing the knees in towards the chest. Or you can just relax the arms alongside the body. And just notice the difference in sensation. And taking one last deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and then just lengthening the legs straight, pausing here for a moment. From here, shifting into dragonfly pose on the wall. So walking our legs into a straddle position. Finding your edge. Where you don't have too much intensity so that you're able to relax and soften. adjusting yourself as you need to, but working your way towards a place where you can find stillness. Where you can hold your presence with the sensations. Softening, surrendering to them. Notice if you're clenching your teeth or your shoulders. Notice if you're frowning. Just softening. And coming to the last minute here, if you'd like to adjust the body, come a little bit deeper in any way, do so now. And last deep inhale here. Exhale through the mouth. Now to assist yourself out of this pose, bring your hands on either side of the thighs and just engage the abdominal muscles and just let your hands help to guide your legs back up to center. Just pausing here. Noticing the sensations. From here, moving into thread the needle. So if your pelvis is really close to the wall, create a bit of distance to start. We're going to bend the left knee, pressing the left foot into the wall, and then crossing the right ankle over the left knee. So again, to make this position less intense, move your pelvis further away from the wall, or you can have less bend in the left knee. Keeping a little bit of flexion to the right foot and pressing the low back flat to the floor. So if your low back wants to pop up, then have less of a bend in the left knee so that your back can be flat on the floor. If you'd like to use your hand to help open the pelvis, you can just very gently press the right knee away from the body. Again, keeping a little bit of flexion in the right foot to protect the right knee. Finding your edge and making your way to a place of stillness. Sending the breath into that right hip. Releasing that tension on each exhale. Make that visualization part of your practice. Observing the sensations. If you find you have some numbness and tingling in the body, in the right leg or the right foot, you can just gently rock side to side for a few moments. Sometimes it's just, there's a bit too much tension on some of the nerves in the pelvis. So just loosening that a little bit, and then try finding that stillness again. Coming up to the last minute, if you'd like to adjust the body to increase the intensity, you can just bend that left knee a bit more. And just for the few moments, I invite you to start to rock the hips side to side. Now that we've really brought blood to those tissues. And just notice the sensations when you rock in either direction. And coming back center, inhale deeply through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And just begin to walk the left foot up the wall, lengthening the left leg straight, and then releasing the right leg straight. Just pausing here for a moment. Notice if the right leg feels a bit longer than the left. And now moving to the opposite side, bending the right knee, pressing the right foot into the wall, and crossing the left ankle over the right knee, flexing a gentle flexion to that left foot, using the left hand, just pressing that left hip away from the body and pressing the low back into the floor. Finding your edge. And relaxing into that space, releasing, softening. Again, if you notice tingling in the feet right away, you can just gently rock to hopefully relieve that pinch, that initial pinch, and then finding stillness. This variation of thread the needle is another great example of how you can begin to work at opening the hips in a way that is attainable to a tight body. If you'd like to adjust the body for the last minute, do so now. And I invite you to do that nice rocking, slow rocking motion side to side for these last few seconds. And then coming back to center, inhale deeply. Exhale through the mouth. Slowly walking the right leg up the wall and releasing the left. Just pausing here. Noticing the space you've created in the hips. Now we're going to move into a twist. So moving any props that you won't be using for this one, you might want to use, have a block close by to support you. But any blankets or things that are in the way on either side of you, just clear them out of the way. And for this twist, we're going to keep the knees together, bending them. Bring the arms flat onto the floor in a T shape with the palms facing down. And then just walking the legs over to the side, we're going to bring the knees over to the left side first, and we're going to make sure to keep the right shoulder planted onto the floor. So as soon as your right shoulder wants to pop up off the floor, then that's where you're going to stop. So just pausing there. If you can go all the way down, then you go ahead and do so. Or like I said, you can use a yoga block or a pillow to rest the knees on, which is actually a really nice sensation. It makes for a really gentle twist. So just taking a moment to find whatever props you need and adjust the body as necessary. So it's just the feet resting on the wall. The pelvis is far away from the wall. Deep belly breaths in through the nose. And if you'd like, you can turn the neck in the opposite direction, so towards the right, if you're twisting to the left. Just gently, and then softening again. Noticing the quality of the mind, redirecting yourself back to the breath. And last deep inhale here. Exhale through the mouth. And just making your way out. I recommend just pressing the feet into the wall and moving directly over to the opposite side. Again, this time planting the left shoulder onto the floor and pressing the feet into the wall. If you like, turning your neck in the opposite direction. Deep belly breaths. And last deep breath here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slowly making your way back to center. Just bringing the legs long for a moment. And now we're going to make our way off of the wall. So just turning in the opposite direction over to the left. And slowly making your way onto your belly. in the center of the mat. Moving your props off to the side, except for the foam blocks you might need. So from here, we're going to come into Cobra pose. So bringing the hands directly under the shoulders for the full expression of this pose. So we would press into the hands, bringing ourselves up. We want our pelvis to remain on the floor. If this is too deep, you can walk your hands further away from the body into seal pose, or you can come onto the elbows, so in which case the elbows would be directly under the shoulders. And if you have props, you can also use some props under the shoulders to deepen that Sphinx pose. So finding whatever variation works best for you. And then just begin softening the face, the neck, the shoulders, focusing on the heart center, on the chest, and this lifted quality to the chest. And coming out of this pose at any time, if you feel any dizziness, lightheadedness, or nausea, just taking a break, honoring your body, always listening to what your body is saying. Adjusting the body as necessary if you'd like to come deeper, just for this last minute. Lengthening of the chest. Always this lifted quality in this pose. Lifting and lengthening rather than bending of the back or compressing of the spine. And last deep inhale here. Exhale through the mouth. And slowly lowering yourself down one vertebrae at a time. Just resting here, turning your head in one direction. And turning your head in the opposite direction. And as you're ready, bringing your hands directly underneath the shoulders. On an inhale, press up and back onto the knees. And we're going to finish in child's pose, this practice, since we did so much resting up the wall on the back. So we can, there's many different ways we can do this one. If you'd like more of a restorative pose and you have a bolster, then you can, I'll show you how you can do it. You can bring the knees wide and just bring the bolster tucked in between the pelvis, just walking yourself forward and resting your arms alongside the body, relaxing the head to one side. If you don't have a bolster, you can just place pillows here to help support you. And if you're like me and you really just enjoy the stretching of the back and you don't want something quite as restorative, then just plain old child's pose is excellent. You can, of course, variate the hands. So we'll start with our hands stretched out long, so reaching. Keep the knees about hip distance apart. And just reach first, and then relax the head, neck, and shoulders down towards the floor. And this is also where you could choose to place a block or two underneath the forehead for a bit less intensity and more relaxation. If you have your head resting, turning to one side on the bolster, I will let you know when we're at the halfway point so that you can switch. Softening the upper body. Soften those shoulders. And then scan down to the low back and hips and soften the weight of the hips into the heels. Just letting yourself be heavy. Let the breath be soft and natural through the nose. And we're at the halfway point, so turning your head in the opposite direction if you're resting on the bolster. And if you're in regular child's pose without a bolster and you want to variate this pose a little bit for the last little bit, bring your knees together, closer together, and bring the arms alongside the body. Again, relaxing the forehead towards the floor. And taking a last deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Slowly making your way out of the pose. Taking your time. It has been an honor guiding you through this practice. I hope that you feel rested and restored and calm. And this is an excellent time to just head straight to bed. Or if you have other things to do, then hopefully you can move about your day with more peace and tranquility. Satnam. Namaste.